I'm just looking at a picture, and the picture is making me sad. The picture is making me sad. I'm seeing wells. I can't count them because there are many. But the Spirit is giving me the number that there are 120 wells. But these wells have a lid on them. Okay? So there's a huge wooden lid that has covered the wells. And I've seen 120 men standing by these wells, but the men are crying. They're crying. And on these wells, it is written 1,500 years. 1,500. But I asked the captain. Somebody's called the captain. Why are these men crying? He said, these are ancient men and they are the spirits of just men made perfect. Just like in the ancestral world, they have their own ancient men. These are men that are standing by the wells of revival. And they are crying because they are saying these wells have not been opened for the past 1,500 years. And they are crying because he that sits on the throne cannot get men and women who are bold enough to remove these lids for the wells of revival to spring forth. But I asked the captain, does it mean nobody is doing this? He says once in a while. Once in a while, somebody comes up and then he opens the wells. But then, because the generation in which they live are not ready for the water of the wells, they persecute them and they kill them early. So he said the people that open these wells, they don't live long. Because when they open the wells, sheep eat them up. Then I asked the captain, how can sheep eat up revivals? And the captain said, the flesh of sheep will kill any revivalist. I said, why? He said, what the revivalists cannot stand is the flesh. And when I raise them, the sheep cannot cope with them. So the fleshly tendencies of the sheep choke the revivalists to death. And they are betrayed and they are destroyed. So the ones that can open the lid don't live long. And he said 1,500 years. So Paul left, and Peter left, and Thomas left, and John left. And the few years that followed, up to 500 years, people burst out forth on the scene here and there. But after that, when modernization started coming up, ancient civilization and modernization started forming a good climate for worldliness to thrive. And the worldliness found its way into the church. told me, he said, Eastwood, can't you see? Can't you see that the people cannot see? And can't you see that they cannot hear? And can't you see that they can't feel anything? He said, the children of the kingdom are the strangers in the kingdom. The children of the kingdom are the strangers in the kingdom. Because the majority of the people in the kingdom are strangers of the kingdom. They don't know the kingdom. Then he took me to another place. And that place is not where else, it's a table. I'm looking at the table. And the things I'm seeing on the table are very funny. They are bread, but the bread looks dry. And I'm seeing juice, and the color is like grape juice. And he said, you see this bread? I said, yeah. He said, the bread is the word of God. And you see the wine? I said, yes. He said, that wine is the wine of the Spirit. But he said, count the people who are sitting at the table. And I said, I'm seeing nobody at the table because nobody's sitting at the table. He said, that is the state of the church. They have walked away from the table of the Lord, which is the bread and the wine of the Spirit. And they are feasting on the things of the world. So I asked the captain, what should I do? He said, nothing. Should I preach? He said, no. But what should I do? He said, nothing. Then he showed me a tree. He said, go and sit under that tree. And I said, sit under the tree. When wells are blocked and when the table is empty, I should sit under the tree. He said, yes, sit under the tree. Then he said, what Elohim hates is when something goes wrong and men use their own mind to try to correct it. He hates it. That is why Uzzah was killed. Because mortal hands cannot fix a divine assignment. So go and sit under the tree. And that is why Jonah went and sat under the tree. He said, go and sit down. Then he said, come here. I can see myself approaching you. He whispered into my ear. He said, they that speak matters that are bigger than them waste their energy and they sink into frustration, and the frustration destroys them. So go and sit under the tree. So I went and I'm sitting under the tree. Then he said, now lift up your eyes. When I lifted up my eyes, he said, what do I see? I said, I'm seeing clouds. Fake clouds. He said, okay, so you are seeing right. He said, the clouds are gathering. And he said, now lift up your eyes and look far. What do you see? I said, I see a wind. Then he said, now turn your back and look. And when I turned, I saw a fire coming from afar. So he said, the cloud will bring the rain. The wind will bring about the change. And the fire will bring about the energy. He said, these are the things that are needed. And they are the agencies of Jehovah, Elohim, to change the thing that is making those men cry. He said, you see the clouds. is about to rain. Said it's about to rain. Said it's about to rain. And what that rain starts falling, the rain will take many people by surprise. It will take many people by surprise. That rain will cause little people to become great. But the thing about the rain is that it will cause great people to become small. He said, do you see the people you call great? They will be small. You see the people you call small, they will be great. That is what the rain will do. He said the time is coming. You will be looking for greatness where greatness is, and it shall not be found. Because the greatness will be found in the small. Because he that is least shall be the greatest, and the greatest shall be the least. Then he said, you see the fire. He said, this fire is coming, and the fire will empty churches. Because people will catch the fire and jump out of the churches. They will suddenly wake up and say, this is not a church, this is a mortuary. He said, these men and women on fire will be looking at the pastor and he looks like a corpse. We'll look at their church members and they look like corpse. We'll look at church leaders and they'll look like corpse. And they'll say, I cannot sit in a mortuary. I'm leaving this church. He said, the fire will make churches empty. And I said, what about the wind? He said, you see the wind? The lid that has covered these wells. The devil will not know how the wells will open. He said the wind will take the devil by surprise. Because the wind will come and remove every lid. And when the wind removes every lid, then my people shall drink. And they shall be satisfied.